guys, Tambo here with your weekly core report. With the first week of NBA in the books, our Run Pure Sports hot streak continues. RPS has been on a roll, and NBA kicked off with some big winners. BigT hit 58,000 across both sites on opening night. New member Jeff Nugent hit for 10K. Shawnee hit for 22K. And on night 2, Eden Cohen shipped for a monster $250,000, taking down the main $888 tournament on DraftKings. On Wednesday, Locks hit for $72,000 on DraftKings, and on that same night, I hit my biggest NBA win yet, shipping for over $100,000 on FanDuel by simply using the premium content produced by our Run Pure Sports team. Glock's heat map provided me with the info I needed to build my lineup and help me ship. And it wasn't just NBA producing big winners. Big T pushed Guz the Bus Edwards hard on the Sunday Morning Wood Show.
I know we're saving money at running back this week, but are you spinning up for Derrick Henry?
Yeah, I mean, I can't play Derrick Henry when I'm playing Gus the Bus. I mean, that's tough.
How does every game finds its way back to Gus?
Gus went off, scoring 2 touchdowns at only 2% ownership. Make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel to get great calls like this for free on a daily basis. Guz was also featured in Big T's player pool, along with Bengal stacks. The Week 7 Burrow to Chase connection was on fire, leading to some big wins for RPS members. Congrats to P451017 for riding that stack to $15,000. And shout out to DK for 5 for staking Corey Pooler, who hit for $1,500. DK for himself hit for $4K on the afternoon slate. To top off the week, our members ran pure in some Showdown contests too. Last Thursday, I shipped another King of the Beach seat with plays I highlighted in my attack plan, available to premium members, featuring Jawan Johnson in the captain slot. And the winning continued on Sunday's Showdown slate with a slew of RPS logos sharing in a first place finish. Congrats to Bring the Noise, who entered 2 different lineups, which actually both tied for first. He was joined at the top by fellow RPS members Sully's World, Nuan7, Molliver, Jay Gingery, FF Guru TX, Dub KJ, and T-Brad30 joined in, turning $68 into $1,600. Shout out as well to member Alec for turning $20 into $10K in MLB. Congrats again to all our members. If you want to be featured in the core report, drop your winning lineup in our Members Never Win channel in our premium Discord. If you're not a member, join now. You won't find a better value with all sports included for one low price. Remember, if you're not winning with us, you're watching us win. Until next time, let's keep running pure.
What is going on, everybody? Happy Thursday. I'm in shambles right now. We got a great NBA, NFL, a lot of action tonight. Only 4 games in the NBA streets. I think it's a decent slate, though, for it being a 4-gamer. Then we got NFL Showdown, got the Buccaneers, got the Ravens, Lamar, Andrews, Fournette. We have a lot of options on a primetime game on Thursday, which hasn't been the case, it's felt like recently. So great action, great night. Excited to dive in, talk some hoops, though. Joined by Hoop, joined by Mangone. Hoop, throw it to you first. How was your day yesterday in the NBA streets? 10-game slate. A lot of chalk out there. Giannis absolutely dominated. Thoughts on this slate? What's going on?
Yeah, hit on Giannis. I mean, obviously it's not hard to hit on Giannis, but he was the guy that I wanted to go to a ton yesterday. So yeah, it was a solid day. Today, 4-game NBA slate, and then I guess maybe like the first appealing Thursday night game in a while. Maybe Ravens Bucks. We'll have to see. I mean, the Bucks have looked just atrocious, absolutely atrocious. If you're not a member at Run Pure, make sure you get in and check out the video that Tambo, JSU, K Falik, and Randone just did. It was a great breakdown of the slate for our members. A lot of good takes there. So I was just finishing that up before we hopped on here. So that's definitely something to check out. A lot of different angles for this Thursday night football game, and there's the regular Millie Maker, and then they have a big one too, a 3K Millie Maker as well. So kind of bumped up the prize pools in anticipation of what they thought would be a more entertaining game. I hope that is the case. But yeah, we're here to talk the 4-game NBA slate. And yeah, it's pretty solid. I'd agree with you on that. We have a huge total to end the night, 236 with the Kings Grizzlies. Relatively close spread. Memphis favored by 3, and I think you can make the case for guys from basically every team tonight, which is something that can go a long way in NBA DFS.
Yep, I absolutely agree with that. Man, go and throw it to you. How you doing? NFL, good game tonight. Got NBA streets. Best time of the year. We always talk about college football on Saturdays, MMA on Saturdays. I know golf's going on right now. I'm sweating that a little bit. So much action. Great time of year. What's going on, Mango?
Yeah, pumped to be here. I'm pumped for NBA. NBA is like one of my favorites for sure. Been a good start to the year as well. I can't complain. Tyler Hero held me back last night. That was the only hurtful part of last night, but had some nice little teams up top and just got to keep grinding. I love seeing Tambo hit the live final seat. So congrats to him on that over on FanDuel. I know Locks has been absolutely crushing it too. So hey, the team's doing great over here. So be sure to check out all the content over at Run Pure Sports. And we got NFL too, right? So someone's going to take that Millie down. So be sure to check it all out. Don't watch that show yet. JSU, BigT, all them, Phallic, they're great. Tambo, but wait till after this show's over, okay? Let's get the NBA slate to lock. Maybe listen to a little bit of the NFL, pause it to be able to get all the cores in once they start filing in, listen that up to lock show, and then finish it up while you're finishing your teams from 7:30 to 8:15. And then we got tons of stuff to sweat tonight, so it should be fun.
Absolutely. Yeah. Good call on that. Lock today, 30 minutes later than usual for NBA, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Then we got NFL 45 minutes after. So the 4 games, we have one at 7:30, then we have one at 8 o'clock. Then after that, 2 10 p.m. Eastern games. So we get a 2-hour window in between those two. So that's how the slate's set up today. Plenty of time, get your NBA and then your NFL in. Gator Nation, as you mentioned, man, Gator Nation says something very similar. There's such an incredible edge to being a premium member. I mean, the NBA news is nonstop. That's how the season goes. Doesn't slow down as the season goes on as well. You get news after lock. We're in there answering questions, tag us coordinators. It definitely pays to be in there. Big T's player pool, the core plays. Got to give a shout out to JSU as well. Going to touch on Tambo quick, but I mean, they go hand in hand. The Isaiah Livers call, or Livers as JSU.
You got it wrong. Yeah,
it's got to be Livers.
It's Livers now for sure.
It has to. I mean, what an insane call by JSU. I was listening to the Up to Lock show. I was like, man, I mean, that's the stuff JSU knows. I would never have played him. Tambo did follow suit. He did listen as well as some other members. And Tambo just stays hot, takes down the FanDuel queue. So congrats to you as well, Tambo, on the show yesterday. JSU on the Up to Lock show. It definitely pays to be a member. So head over to Run Pure Sports. Check us out. Join the Discord. As always, do us a favor. Hit that like button for us, please. Hit that big red subscribe button. Let's say hi to a couple people in chat before we go game by game. We got Coach, Cesar Martinez, Humble Spriggs, Justin Wahlberg, Buckner, Zach Curry, Gator Nation, Matthew Moore. Good math, guys. Appreciate all of you hanging out with us. Hope everything is going well so far on this Thursday. But let's go game by game. Again, only 4 slates. We'll take as much time as we need. If you got questions, game theory on the slate, you can drop them in chat and I'll get to them if we have time. But the Dallas Mavericks, the Brooklyn Nets, 225 total. Dallas is favored by 2.5. Mango, and I'll start with you in this game. Start with Luka Doncic. Obviously, I mean, even if he doesn't get his last full rotation, he's still shown that he can get there. The upside's as big as anyone on this slate. What are you doing with him? And then anything else in this game that you like?
Yeah, I mean, as of right now, like, I don't know. I mean, Luka, it seems like he is going to get ownership, but like, I don't know. When I go through and look at projections, right? I make the tweaks that I like to make. I don't see Luka popping up really that much on DraftKings. So I don't know. I mean, he's naturally going to get ownership, right? Because he's Luka and he's like probably the best stud on the slate. And it's only a 4-gamer. So it's not like he's going to be 5% or something crazy like that. He is going to have ownership, but I don't think a lot of people are going the stars and scrubs build that much today. I think if they are doing stars and scrubs, they're starting with like SGA. They're not starting with Luka. And because of that, if you plug him in your lineup right away, I think you're naturally making a different construction, which I'm perfectly fine with doing that at times. Just the question is, do you feel like you have enough value? Now, it's worth mentioning, we are 2.5 hours before NBA lock. value could pop up out of nowhere. If value pops up, that is going to change the entire construction. Like yesterday, it seemed like the build was going to be what? Giannis and LeBron possibly. But then it seemed like it was first at Giannis and then mid-tier guys. Then it turned into Giannis and LeBron. And the reason why it turned into Giannis and LeBron is because we had even more Spurs value that opened up. It made those players even stronger plays that you could go to. So, and then we had Corey Joseph that opened up as well to allow you to be able to get LeBron. You also got Giannis, and you still got some good mid-tier options on the Jazz and all those other things. So right now, I just don't see the Luka ownership being as high as people might think. I think it seems like everyone is just going to do the SGA thing and try and play some more balanced type builds for their lineup. So that's what I'm currently seeing right now. It's kind of worth mentioning when you discuss Luka because he is a really good spend up, but do you have the salary to do it? Just go in, raise Luka's projection and see what his projection has to be for you to get him in your lineups. I think it's a great way to go about it. If you do look at the small forward, power forward position, there are not a lot of spend ups today on this slate. So Kevin Durant would naturally be a contrarian spend up as well if you wanted to. It's not something I've messed with too much so far, but it's something to consider that it just will be a lineup construction that no one is really going to. Sadly, they're gonna go and play Ben Simmons instead, which I don't totally understand the Ben Simmons thing. That price tag is just too high, right? I mean, now it's 5'8", so it's a little better. I know it was like 6'4" the other day, but that's FanDuel. Is it still 6'4" on DK title?
Yeah, it's still 6'4" on DK. A better price on FanDuel though, like you said.
And like, to be fair, like if you look at like the point per dollar plays on this slate, there's not a lot of good point per dollar plays in general. Like if you looked yesterday, all those Spurs values were really good, but they also had some other good values behind it as well. And we've had other slates where we've had good values. So like there's like a tier 1 value, tier 2. Today, I don't even feel like we have good tier 1 value plays, right? Like I don't feel as confident in those options. And then it really drops off for that second tier. So it is a little tough. That's why you're going to see these more balanced builds. And that's why I think people are playing Ben Simmons, which like, again, do I really want to play him at 6'4"? Is he the best chalk? I'm not exactly sure he is. I think there's other pivots that you can consider and look at. So not dying to play Ben Simmons here on this slate. I know Claxton has looked pretty good for the Nets a little bit. If you need to go to a center, you could, but I think his price is a little high for my liking. He's 6K. So that's the one tough thing to do when you try to roster him. Overall, title, this game is tough, man. Like there's not a lot of guys to like. You could really make an argument for backloading and just being like, I don't love the first game. I don't see anyone absolutely burning me from this game. So why go out and do that? If I do play someone, it's probably going up and grabbing a star. It's like a Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, a Luka. It's just not one of the best games on the slate right now. Hopefully we get some news that maybe makes this game more appealing, but I just can't get really that much behind it right now.
No, it definitely makes sense to me. And the Luka point, I do not think he's going to be very high owned on this slate. Of course, he'll get some ownership like you mentioned, but that's definitely a talking point. I want to get your opinion on Hoop. And like you said, man, going value is rough. I mean, I definitely expect a lower scoring slate today than we've had recently. Just the nature of the slate. 2 value guys, maybe possible value guys, Hoop. Dinwiddie, 5.5K, especially if Hardaway's out. He is questionable right now. And then Royce O'Neal at 4.7K. But that's when you know it's kind of a gross slate talking value. I mean, Royce O'Neal just sits in the corner cardio guy. He needs to hit his open threes. And Dinwiddie, I mean, he's fine at 5.5, but on a like yesterday on a 10-game slate, there's no way we're talking about Dinwiddie. So talk about this, Hoop. Interesting first game on an island.
Yeah, as Mangone was talking, I was just trying to go through and find like a 2v2 that people might be looking at because Luka, there's not a ton of value really. And you love Luka at 12K. And if this game stays close, which it is projected to do, like, man, he could go off against the Nets. They play no defense. So quick 2v2 that I just found with Luka. And one of the value options that I think we have, maybe, Luka and Kevin Huerter. So, 12K for Luka. Huerter is 4.9, so you got 16,900. An exact 2v2 pivot, which zeroes out, is De'Aaron Fox and Sabonis. Which route will most people go? Probably De'Aaron Fox and Sabonis. So I do think there's a chance that Luka comes in, not low owned. I mean, there's no way he's coming in low owned, but lower owned than we might think. So
a good point to bring up there. Someone in chat might be like, those two they don't correlate with each other, right? And all that stuff. The point you're getting at is they're both like absolute stud plays, right? I mean, the amount that you spend for those guys, like you're getting a 9 and 8K player that could be like the main usage guys on their team. Yeah. While one, you get the complete secondary fourth guy with Luka. So I think it's a great point that you brought up.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of people are going to look at that 2v2 and say, oh, for sure, I want, Sabonis and Fox, which I think in turn does potentially lower the ownership. And then you just look at the pricing spectrum. There's a $1,800 difference between like him and Morant. So he's like way more expensive than everyone else on the slate. Now, I want as much Luka as I can get because we're looking at a matchup here against the Nets, who, I mean, statistically one of the worst defensive teams in the league. Luka has been phenomenal to start the year. So I guess long story short, I'm going to find a way just to get Luka in there as much as possible. I like Dinwiddie too, 5.5K, 37 minutes last time out, 37 minutes and 35 fantasy points, shot the ball 15 times. So very interested in him at 5.5K, but that's where I kind of draw the line for Dallas. If you're doing 150 teams, I'm not doing 150 tonight, but if you are, I like the Christian Wood call. We talked about him on the last show. I mean, 7.5K coming off the bench. No one's going to want to pay that price tag. I'm cool with him at 7.5. And then on the net side, it's just a tough team right now to get to. I mean, Ben Simmons sucks. We all knew that coming into it, but there's just, man, like, yeah, Durant at 10K. Do I want to pay 10K for like, what, 47, 48 fantasy points? Yeah. Can he go out there and get 60? Yeah, for sure. But I just don't think it's very likely right now for him. So I have trouble getting to Kyrie. I have trouble getting to KD. So, I mean, in this game, my favorite plays are definitely Luka and Dinwiddie. On FanDuel, I think Kyrie and KD come into play a little bit more. 9.4 for Kyrie, Durant's 9.7. But man, it's not a super appealing DFS team right now because there's just not enough to go around. So Luka and Dinwiddie by far my two favorite guys in this game.
Yep, I agree. I like it. I think the better games are later. Like you mentioned, that Memphis-Sacramento game's the game of the slate that I think will get the most ownership. The last game on the slate we will get to. But
Tato, can I mention one more thing? Because this Hoop mentioned the Wood point made me think of something the other day. So I made Christian Wood my play of the day, right? And he wasn't great, 32.25. But I happened to look at like one of the teams at the top, and I don't know if it was the $15, could have been like maybe the $200 3 max or a single entry, but it's first place is first place, right? I mean, maybe it was even second. I can't remember, but Christian Wood was on that team. And I was like, well, like, why was like that even like on like the winner? I was just trying to figure that out. And I think it was just naturally because it gave you a different construction than the field, and his raw points out the position mattered, which like that could happen with Kevin Durant here, right? Look at that position in general. That position is not good today. Shoot, small forward, it's Kevin Durant, and then it drops down to Andrew Wiggins. I mean, there's a $3,000 difference. I mean, yeah, at the power forward, it's a little different from KD to Butler. It's only 1,400, but you rarely see a drop that's that large from 10K to 6.9. So you could make the argument that on DraftKings or even maybe FanDuel, maybe the spending up for the Kevin Durant, yes, if he does not have a big game, you're fine. You're not going to get hurt. But it's kind of like the tight end position in football. What if Mark Andrews, he's the only tight end on the slate that has that ceiling, but what if he does go out there and drop 30 DK points? Well, you're probably in trouble and good luck catching up. You're going to have trouble catching up with the position. So that's something to think about when possibly considering spending up for Kevin Durant.
Yeah, I mean, you can always, I'll never tell anyone not to play Kevin Durant. He'll be a little more owned on FanDuel. I still don't think he'll be chalky by any means. But if you play him on DK, he'll definitely be single-digit owned. And on a 4-game slate, just got to get different in a couple spots. You can then fill out chalk around if that's what you want to do. Before we get to the next game, do us a favor. Hit that like button for us, please. Hit that big red subscribe button. Do want to get you the plays of the day later. Appreciate you hanging out with us. And want to shout out a couple members never win, members and coordinators. We have Alec, who turned $20 into $10,000 in MLB. A new member, Jeff Nugent, turned 37 into $10,000 in NBA. P451017, a lot of numbers, 15,000 in NFL. Shawnee, 22,000 in NBA. Eden Cohen, $270,000 in NBA. Then Tambo, the heater, 100,000 in NBA, a king of the beach seat in NFL. And then we have to add, yesterday, also got a shipper, FanDuel live final seat as well. So Tambo, awesome stuff. Congrats to you. If you want to be on this segment, again, drop your screenshots in the Members Never Win segment in Discord. I know I saw a lot of winners 2 nights ago in the NBA streets, and a lot of good ones. If you want to want to get on this segment, I saw plenty of screenshots that would have qualified. dump them in there. You can get a shout out on this show. Like button, subscribe button is great. We appreciate it. Next game on the slate, though, 30 minutes after the Los Angeles Clippers, OKC Thunder, 217.5 total. The Clippers are favored by 6.5. Paul George is questionable. They're already without Kawhi Leonard. They're already without Morris. They're already shorthanded. I'm assuming he's going to play, but who knows? We should get this news before lock. I have interest in Trey Mann. I expect him to start again. I think he is interesting at 5'6", 27% usage rate last game. He's going to chalk. I think that's a good price tag if you need a mid-tier guy. SGA is going mentioned at 9.3. Then Ivica Zubac, the other guy I got to mention. Man, playing good basketball. He's getting the minutes. OKC is awful against centers. Should have a lot of rebounds fall in his lap. I think he's interesting. And also saw someone mention Aaron Wiggins in YouTube chat. So Hoop, I'll throw it to you in this one. You mentioned a lot of names. What are your thoughts in this game?
Yeah, the Clippers side still pretty difficult. I mean, if Paul George is out, I guess, we can start giving these guys bigger boosts. But if he's in, I just don't see where I want to go outside of Zubac. Like I'm fine playing him, but the problem with him is the price is now up like 6.5K. Like that's not super attractive. Obviously there is upside there. So maybe in tournaments and stuff, but man, it's just a tough team right now. I mean, still like Norman Powell's a guy that I've played a little bit, just hasn't done shit all season. I mean,
what are you doing with him on FanDuel? The price didn't budge.
What is it?
3.9?
3.9. Yeah. I mean, definitely more in play over there, but 2 for 8, 1 for 10, 4 for 9, 3 for 10. You just can't shoot right now. And he's in a slump to start the season. Scoring dependent guy. But that price tag on FanDuel on a small slate, you probably definitely have to consider him. But on DK, I mean, I'm just not seeing much here that I like on the Clipper side. On the Thunder side, definitely have to look at SGA. Kudos to DC, I believe was that yesterday on the show? I believe, was it yesterday?
2 days ago.
2 days ago, yeah, 2 days ago. SGA was his play of the day, and he responded with 63 fantasy points in the same matchup. So he's a guy you definitely have to consider tonight. Trey Mann as well, I like. At 5.6K, he's showing that upside that we like. That's kind of where I draw the line. I mean, my 2 favorite plays in this game by far, SGA, Trey Mann, Clipper side. Just a tough, confusing situation really at this point in the season.
Yeah, I totally agree. Man, what are your thoughts on this game? Do you like it more than the first game as well? Answer that question at the end.
Oh man, do I like it more in the first game? I guess I will say I'm not as excited about these values in the chat. Like someone said Trey Mann. Let's start with him. Like, oh, Trey Mann looks like a great value today. And I don't think he's a great value. I think he looks like a great value because there's not good value on this slate. Like
the nature of this slate, he's a great value.
Correct. But that's the point I'm getting at is like sometimes we need to not embrace those values as much, right? Like we saw Norman Powell, the lock of all locks, right? I mean, he was an amazing play the other day. Titled, everyone wanted to play him. He was in, I think, 90% of cash game lineups, and boom, he gets like 11 DK points. I just don't know how set I am on Trey Mann just being this stone cold lock. The one thing I will say about Trey Mann, we do like that he sees a pretty nice usage bump here. We do like that he's willing to chuck the ball, right? We don't want these guys that are going to be staying in the corner all game. He's 5.6K, only $100 increase. And oh yeah, ownership is going to be up on him because last game out, he was a chalky play, or he wasn't even that, he was chalky-ish, but he played great, right? So people don't assume he's going to fail. These are the OKC Thunder. We don't know who's going to be out there. They could randomly pull Trey Mann and put some other guys in there at times. You just don't know. So I'm a little more cautious with Trey Mann. I like him. I like his shooting guard eligibility. I think that's important to be able to have that point guard and shooting guard eligibility as well to give him one more roster spot. But I am going to think about it a little bit because I do think he's going to be one of the higher owned plays on this slate. So I think this game is fine, but I think there's a better game that we'll get to later on that people want to go to. We can talk about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He seems like the stud that a lot of people are going to go to here on this slate, which I like SGA at 9.3K. I think he's a good option. Again, I am thinking about it a little bit. I'm like, okay, like, is SGA going to play the whole time? Like, will they have a quick hook? You just don't know with OKC sometimes. So even when I was watching that game title, I was like, man, SGA looks great, but I don't know. In the second half, you never know if they're just going to get the rug kind of pulled out on you with the OKC Thunder. But he's one of the stronger guys up top. I think he's a good play. Pivots off of him, I would say Ja's an interesting one. I know it's a lot more, but it's someone to consider trying to find that money or pivot down to a De'Aaron Fox. I just think they're interesting ideas to consider because we know SGA chalk the floor is way lower than people realize. Like, Hoop, I love SGA. What's your thoughts on his floor? Because I think it's worth mentioning. Like, we know what, like, some of these like stars floors can be like really good, but he has one of the worst floors of all the stars in like the league. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, for sure. But I'm just a little less concerned, obviously, with Giddey out. Like, with Giddey in there, I think his floor comes like way down. With Giddey out of the lineup, like the floor does come up a little bit. He's been really good to start.
I think his role has changed as well too. I mean, I don't think it's the same SGA as the beginning of last year, man. I agree with you. The floor means because of the team and the coaching, and like maybe he just doesn't play the fourth quarter, but we really haven't seen that as of late. And he gets the peripherals. I mean, his usage is always there, but I totally get what you're saying, because I had the same thought for a lot of last year with SGA. But
there's going to be games this season. Yeah, no, there's no doubt about it. There's games like his floor is an annoying floor where he goes out there and scores like 18 points and gets like 3 rebounds and 3 assists. Like, it's super frustrating where he becomes like scoring dependent and then doesn't get the peripherals. And those are the most tilting sorts of games. And he has that sort of floor where the other stars really don't. So it is a good point.
Yeah, so like this is the other thing I want to call out. Like, I'm going to mention like my 5 best values, and like these guys have good ownership on them on the slate. Like, these guys scare the crap out of me as chalk. Like, I am scared to death the roster. Desmond Bane and his floor, Keegan Murray, a rookie that who knows what can happen with a rookie sometimes. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, I just talked about that. Steven Adams, like, are we excited to play Steven Adams? We know what that can be. It could be a 6-6 performance. And then Trey Mann. So yes, I know the context of the slate is everything, but I just want to mention that like this might be some of the worst chalk we've had of all the NBA slates. So, but to be fair, the alternatives aren't great either. So I am hoping we get some kind of news and then make some adjustments from there. But kind of back to talking about this game, I have definitely been kind of scared about the Clippers in general. And like I kind of talked about on the show, there were like 9 guys that made that team pretty deep. But then when you eliminated Kawhi and all that usage, it was like, man, how do we not like play some Clippers now? It feels like they have 8 real bodies and then some absolute clowns that you can throw in there. And most will get there, but some won't. And like Norman Powell was one of those casualties. I mean, Zubac had a phenomenal game. I'm curious to see what people are going to do with him with the elevated price tag. He was 5'8". Now he's 6.5K. I think he's a good play, but it's just something to think about with how is he going to bounce back in this spot. They could be adding Paul George back. That would change a lot of the usage up. So that's something to monitor. And that's going to be an important point with the Clippers. Like if people are asking me Clippers questions in the Discord chat, it's going to be really hard to answer those questions without the Paul George news. I think that's really important. I'm curious to see if a lot of people backload for that in order to maybe open up some stuff and see what's going to happen.
I think we'll get it before the first game even starts. It's the 30-minute window. Maybe not. Maybe it's 5:59 or I'm talking Central Time. 1 minute before lock or whatever. But
yeah,
teams have relatively been pretty good. Let me ask you this though, man. We're talking about pivots off of SGA. If Paul George is in, you get the revenge narrative. I don't think the minutes would be capped too hard. Like that just seems like the nut pivot on a 4-game slate. What are your thoughts on that?
Exactly. I love Paul George in this spot. I think he's a really awesome option to play. And especially because they just played this team, right? I mean, now he's going to get a chance to like the fresher legs. I mean, that helps. So I like the Paul George pivot. I think it's a really good point that you brought up. The OKC side with like some of these cheaper plays, like that you can take some chances on, like, I mean, Kenrich Williams, like if you look at FanDuel, power forward's not great. So I could see him being sort of interesting over there. And he's not the worst value. Like if you are trying to jam in like a Luka, you need to kind of like create some value plays at the bottom. And I think Kenrich could be one of those options. I think Aaron Wiggins is another good option to go back to. Did I say Andrew? I meant Aaron if I didn't.
No, you said Aaron. Okay. Tyler asked about him in chat as well, so I'm glad you bring it up.
Yeah, he's 3.9K, and like it's the same. It's basically the same situation as last game, right? I mean, the one thing I did get a little nervous about with him, I did like his 3.1K price tag that he had. I didn't end up doing a swap to him. I almost kind of did it, but I just didn't think I needed to at the time. But he has gone up from 3.1 to 3.9, so that $800 difference does matter. But this dude is willing to chuck as well. Worth mentioning. 3.9K is a cheap tag, which can help get you a Luka or maybe add in a Ja Morant throughout your lineups. And I mean, he's definitely a guy that is going to get some usage. Like, yes, could it be Trey Mann and SGA staggering more? Sure. But there's enough opportunities for him to be able to get there. And if he gets hot, he's going to keep firing. So I think Aaron Wiggins is one of like the more interesting contrarian pivots while other people are looking at some of these other value plays. I don't know. I might mess around with some Aaron Wiggins and just go back to the well on him because he put up a nice game last time and I'm still seeing some low ownership on him. So I think he's pretty interesting. Clippers, I want to talk about Norm Powell on FanDuel. The price tag is really good over there. Looking like he's going to pop up in a ton of teams. I do think he's a good play to go back to just because, yes, he's had a rough start to the year, but the dude can easily get going. But again, we need that Paul George news. It's kind of tough to make some decisions without having that. And then the John Wall, Reggie Jackson thing. John Wall is interesting to consider because of the usage he has been seeing, even in those like 20 to 25 minutes. That might be enough on this type of slate because the value is brutal. Reggie Jackson is one that I am a little concerned about. Yeah, you get the nice little revenge narrative and everything, but it seems like they are kind of holding him back a bit. It doesn't feel like you're getting the 36-minute Reggie Jackson along with Paul George being there. And then you got John Wall, who's a big usage hog. It does feel like it's hurting Reggie Jackson a little bit, and he's going to be popular on FanDuel. So something to think about over there.
Yep, great breakdown there. Paul George is out. If Paul George is in, I like Paul George. The other Clippers are harder to get to on DK for me. If he is out, then the Reggie Jackson gets a big boost. Even Norm Powell at 5.5 gets a big boost. Zubac. So definitely monitor the Paul George news. By far the biggest news we're waiting on in this slate. Man, going just a quick 1v1 I'm going to ask you before we get to the next game, since good math guys in chat asked. Kenrich Williams or Darius Bazley is the last piece.
My lean is Kenrich Williams. They just don't seem like they like Bazley. What did he do last game? Did he actually get the minutes finally? That's something I'm kind of curious about because they really have not been giving him the run. I've been very shocked by that.
No, he only played 19. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the most he's going to get.
It's better, but I don't know. I think Kenrich is the better option. I kind of leaned it last game too because I forget the guy who got hurt for OKC. I think the name is Jalen Williams, not to be mistaken for like the other one that they have. I think they have two. One's Jaylin and one's Jalen. But the one guy who got hurt at the start of the year, he was going to be like the backup usage guy. It was going to absolutely smash. And whenever he does come back, I'm going to be all over him at his 3K price tag. But feels like Kenrich is kind of sliding into that guy that comes off the bench role that kind of chucks the ball up a bit more than you'd realize. So I think it's Kenrich Williams for me.
I like it. 2 games left on this slate. We got 600 watching, 170 likes. 350 is the number. I was debating saying 400, but we got a 4-game slate, 350 likes in 2 games should very easily be done. So hit the like button for us, please. Hit that big red subscribe button. Takes 2 seconds out of your day. We always appreciate it. We have shows going on every single day on the channel. NFL. We just had Big T. Was it Big T? It was C-Dome and
Big T, C-Dome, JSU, Tambo. I think K Fallick was on there as well.
So a bunch of people.
Big group there.
Just talked NFL Showdown, massive prize pools. You do have to be a member for that, right? That was behind the paywall. Yep. So head over Run Pure Sports. Check out that show. Core plays, playbook, cash chart, all of that stuff as always. Again, 350 is the number. I'll remind you one more time after this game, but we got the Miami Heat. We got the Golden State Warriors, 227 total. Golden State is favored by 6. Man, I don't really love this game too much. 2 teams that are relatively healthy. Tyler Hero, Mangone. I'm going to go back to you in this one, Mangone. Tyler Hero let you down. Are you going back to him at 7-2? There's Bam, Draymond. People are talking about Caleb Martin. What are your thoughts on this one? It's an interesting game. I don't love it too much.
Yeah, it hits definitely an interesting game because, I mean, this slate, it's not good, but I'm kind of considering some guys from this game. I don't think it's terrible. You got Caleb Martin, I think at 4.6K could fall into an interesting value play. I mean, this is kind of the game that like you kind of see the Heat get up for, right? I mean, this team, they're well conditioned always at the start of the year. They want to grind it out against the Warriors. They want to have a big game. So I think overall, like Jimmy Butler at his price tag, it's a tough tag to eat, but I think for the upside that he has and being virtually unowned, I think it's just worth taking a shot on. Tyler Hero's role is really nice right now. That's worth mentioning, but I do think the matchup is going to be a little bit tougher. That's one thing maybe I overlooked a little bit yesterday, but they did blow them out. Hero has good usage though. The assists, I think he had like 13 assists. He's willing to chuck that ball up to a ton. So I think if they're going to stay in this game and it's going to be a high scoring affair, Tyler Hero is going to be a part of it. And I think people do feel burned by it yesterday. I mean, he definitely has had ownership to start this year. He's always been around like 10 to 25%. So he is getting ownership throughout the year. I don't know. I think Tyler Hero, I'm going to try and take a chance on again. And he's one of those guys you can just take a slight pivot off of a Desmond Bane. And let's say Desmond Bane's shot's not falling. Well, Tyler Hero's shot could easily fall and you just gain so much leverage from the field. So like him a lot. Bam Adebayo is a really interesting one to talk about. Did he bounce back yesterday? Okay. It was 33 DK points.
Mid 30s. Yeah.
So here's my problem with Bam. I think Bam is ran a little unlucky to start out the year. He's shooting a lot of mid-range jump shots. And when you shoot those mid-range jump shots, they're not going to fall as much, right? Like the reason I love Jason Tatum this year is this dude is driving to the hoop now. He's not just settling for that 2-pointer. And that's the one concern I have with Bam. And we know that Warriors matchup sometimes can be a bit of a problem for those guys inside scorers. So I'm kind of a little nervous about Bam tonight. The price tag is enticing. I think people will see the tag and still take a chance on him as an option. He's not like one of those tier 1 studs or anything, but he's definitely one of those tier 2 options I think people are going to consider putting in their lineups. Projections are going to push him. If you're playing like 150 lineups, you're going to get some Bam Adebayo, but I don't mind being under the field on him today. Don't think that's a bad idea. The Warriors is the tough one because you obviously have the Draymond Green situation and Klay Thompson. They're supposed to be getting less minutes and they're starting to trend upward a little bit. I know Draymond Green is popping a ton on FanDuel because, again, power forward is absolutely awful over there. So, and it's a stock site. So I think Draymond Green is way more in play over on FanDuel. DraftKings is a little bit tougher, but 5.7K price tag. We know what he can do. And it's one of those matchups, like the grinded out matchup, like this kind of screams it could be a big Draymond game out of nowhere. Yes, it doesn't seem like an easy spot. You'd want him against one of those teams that has an easier interior to go up against, but Draymond's going to show the heart and hustle in this game. You know he is. So I think he's kind of enticing on DraftKings a little more than you might think just because of that alone. Steph Curry is an interesting spend-up option you can go to too as a contrarian pivot late. We haven't talked about that angle yet, but the games are kind of spaced out tonight. Let's say you have, Ja Morant sitting in your lineup and I don't know, Ja's going to get more ownership than Curry. And you feel like you're just absolutely dead. You had one guy in your lineup get you like 2 DK points, which on the 4-game slates don't overreact too much, but Curry could be an interesting pivot that could maybe get to the top of the leaderboard because we know how hot he can get. And if you started your lineup just building with Steph Curry as your stud and hit the lock button on like 20 teams, you might find a really interesting team that's super contrarian that you could fire in single entry contests. So head on over to SaberSim, lock in Steph Curry because we know what his ceiling can be, and see if there's a team that might just be really interesting and contrarian to throw in there that might get you to the top of the leaderboards. Because on these slates, those like guys that are like below 10% that are studs, they're like what can ship you an entire slate. So I think it's worth looking at a guy like Steph Curry in tournaments. So overall title, like Steph Curry is an option as like a contrarian spend up. I think Draymond Green is sneakier than you might realize, like him a lot on FanDuel. And then Jimmy Butler's an interesting contrarian spend up. I probably like Kevin Durant more if I had to pick one of those. Tyler Hero I really like. And Caleb Martin's an interesting spend down, but I think there's better options like Kenrich Williams.
I like it. Good breakdown. Hoop, break down this game and touch on James Wiseman because Daryl mentioned him in chat.
Yeah, I will. Mr. Patrick Rice in chat says Hoop will have 0 Bam Adebayo, and that is correct because I think he sucks at basketball. I have to say that every time. So no Bam for me. And James Wiseman, 4.3K. Probably not going to do it. I mean, it's just tough, man. Like high teens in terms of minutes. Like, I don't know. I don't necessarily want to go there. The Warriors are a tough team. I mean, my favorite play on the Warriors side by far is going to be Draymond Green. Like, these are the sort of games I think that you want Draymond in. A game that could turn into like a grinded out, tough battle type thing. So Draymond for sure. Probably better play on FanDuel, but I'm fine with him on DK at the 5-7. Can't play Clay really. I don't want to play Steph. So really on the Warriors side, it's just going to be Draymond for me, and not core play or anything, but just one of the last few pieces I'm fine with. Way more interest though on the Miami side. I'll start with Jimmy Butler on FanDuel, 8.1K, very solid price tag for Jimmy Butler, 8.1, and he is power forward eligibility as well. Mangone talked about power forward being weak. Jimmy Butler, 8.1K. You can play him at power forward. That's something that I might be interested in over there. I'm going to bring up a gross name, and I always kind of like this guy, Kyle Lowry. I mean, 5.8K, and I know, people don't love him. He's playing a lot of minutes. The blowout last night kept the minutes down, but 34, 33, 37, 36 minutes. The price is cheap. He's had a 40 fantasy point game. He is on his way to another last night at 33 and a half fantasy points, 26 minutes. If he gets the 8 to 10 more minutes that he's been playing, he exceeds 40. 40-point upside, 5.8K. I know people don't love him, but honestly, he's probably my favorite play on DraftKings in this game, which is a little bit crazy to say. Tyler Hero, I don't mind, kind of coming off that, I guess, a stinker, I guess you can say. But again, that was a blowout game last time out. Don't mind him. I think the price tag keeps people off of him. And then Caleb Martin, fine playing him as well. So it's kind of where I'm at. I mean, definitely more interest on the Heat side for me opposed to the Warriors side. Draymond Green would be my Warriors guy. And then I like these other 4 Miami starters besides Bam, of course.
I like it. Good breakdown there. We got over 670 watching right now, only 213 likes. There's no other word but hurtful. We still got 1 game left. 350 is the number.
Looks like plays of the day for the Discord members.
Yeah, I mean, man, that is really hurtful. I don't know what the secret sauce Tambo has. They just keep flying up for him. Yeah, we have a little less people watching today on this Thursday show, but 214, that is hurtful. We appreciate it.
What number did you give? What number did you say?
350, which it should have been
350.
400.
Yeah, it should be easier. I mean, we're hovering around 700 live viewers, and we're begging for 350, and it's not a good day. And the low likes leads to bad mojo for people that aren't members at Run Pier. I'm just saying. So no reason. Tambo has all these little sayings. I need to start writing them down because it's something about like 1 click to something. I can't remember what he says. He comes up with like a new one every day, but the click thing is good.
You gotta tell him what Tambo says. Hit the like or take a hike.
Yeah, there it is. That's what I said. Yeah, he's got all these. I got to start writing these damn things down. He comes up with a new one like every day.
Yeah, or we say hit the hike or hit the like or we're taking a hike, right? We'll get out of here. We can pull the plug early. I mean, we don't want to do that though. We like talking hoops with the people.
People used to always hit the like button for me. It's like pulling teeth lately. I don't know what's going on, but hey, they've responded. They started hitting it. So 350 is the number. Before we get to the last game though, want to answer Zach Curry's question in chat. He said, "Hey guys, sure you have mentioned it before, but anyway, you can talk SaberSim strategy, trying to get as different as possible." Well, AP and Jordan from the SaberSim side have a SaberSim show every Thursday. There's a bunch of evergreen content out there on the SaberSim webs or on the SaberSim YouTube and our YouTube as well, breaking down all the sports. But it's pretty easy. They have how they have it set up, whereas in step 1, you just say you're in the big $15 today or whatever with 30,000 people. They have GPP, they have single entry, 3 entry max, 20 entry max, 150 entry max, GPP, whether it's a satellite qualifier, cash game, they have all that different stuff than how many people are in your contest. So you'd go to the 10,000 to the 50,000 if that fits you, or 1 to 100, all of that. And all of that is already behind the scenes. It's already programmed where they're going to give you what they believe to be a good lineup for that contest. And it's sorted by SaberSim score. So all you have to do is plug in the constraints of your contest, run the RPS projections, SaberSim projections, aggregate for that, whatever you want to do. And then look at the lineups, look at the cores, the playbook, compare it that way. So SaberSim does a great job with that. If you have any specific questions, you can DM one of us in Discord or something. And we can show you a YouTube video that we've already done in the past. But hopefully that answers your questions.
Yeah, but the other thing, the last statement, trying to get as different as possible. That's not necessarily the key to success in large field GPP, especially in NBA. You don't need to get like too crazy. Yes, occasionally the wild off the beaten path route is going to get you there, but you don't necessarily have to be building 150 just looking to get as different as possible. So that's one thing I would be careful with.
One good thing to talk about, I like to talk about this in my single entry 3 max stuff, and I've been kind of trying to discuss it more on the shows because I think it's a good talking point, but like look every single slate. Like I'm making a point every single slate to be like, what is the thing that the optimizer is pushing today, right? And all it was pushing was 3 or 4 Spurs yesterday, and that was before the news of Primo even being out. And the winning lineup, I think it ended up having 2 Spurs on it, like a couple teams had 1, a couple had 2. I saw some with 3 on some of the teams. I was looking at the $15, looking more at the $200. But the point I'm getting at is you can make slight ways to be different. Like I'll bring up the point we kind of get into this next game that I see that I'm going to try and get different with, but that's all you have to do. And then the optimizer will mix in some of these good plays that you kind of bump up some of these lower owned projected plays, just like a projection point or 2. Not that much, where you're not going to be getting 100%. And don't just X off like the best game. Like you don't have to X Giannis on yesterday's slate, but if you decide to play him, just think about how you're rostering the rest of your players.
Yeah, exactly. I'll go to you in this next one, Mango, and you'll talk about how you're going to get different, but you only got to get different at a spot, 2 spots, 3 spots. if you're fading the chalkiest person on the slate, you don't have to get as different elsewhere. Just all that little stuff goes in the roster construction. You don't have to get absolutely crazy. It's a bad thing in NBA at the end of the day. It's a projection sport. It's a lot easier to project minutes, usage, etc. Whereas baseball's home runs, NFL's touchdowns, that's harder to project. So last game on the slate, though, always like talking some game theory, especially on shorter slates for you guys. Memphis Grizzlies, Sacramento Kings, big total, 236. Memphis is favored by 3. This is the best game environment on the slate. It'll be the highest owned for DFS wise. You can wait for all the news. You can see starting lineups, all of that. I mean, John Moran, De'Aaron Fox, Sabonis, Keegan Murray sliding in the starting lineup, Bane, Adams, Herter, Brandon Clark. Man, go and take away this game and then talk about what you're about to say with a way you see you can get different in this game alone.
Yeah, so like one thing I noticed on this slate was I think a lot of the teams are just pumping, Memphis Grizzlies, they're pumping Sacramento Kings in your lineup, which again, it's a great game. I'm not saying you shouldn't play them, but most teams go like 3 or 4 of them. So one thing I'm going to do before I even build my teams, I'm going to like look at some different combos of that. And then I'm going to say, let me just make it a max of 2 guys from this game. Now it could be 2 Kings, it could be 2 Grizzlies, or it could be 1 and 1. And then see what happens with the build and see how I like the team. Maybe I'm getting pumped in some like interesting options that I may not have considered that are still good plays, right? I mean, when I just kind of ran it just now, there's some interesting options that I just see popping in there. One of them that I think popped in there now that wasn't popping as much, Kyle Lowry, who Hoop talked about. And I don't get Kyle Lowry as much if I don't do that. And Kyle Lowry's a good play on this slate. It's just simple. Another guy, Kenrich Williams, he's popping in more because of that. So I think you can easily do things like that to make very sharp teams and just keep kind of building out your roster construction without fading Desmond Bane. You don't need to fade Keegan Murray. You can if you'd like to. Don't get me wrong. If you decide to do that type of construction, if your team gives you Sabonis, you ain't getting Keegan Murray on, right? Because that's the rule that you may be set, that you only have a max of 1 king. But it can give you interesting lineup constructions and be able to maybe get you something and get you to the top of the leaderboard. So that's something that I'm looking at doing tonight. I'm going to run some teams like that. Anthony in the chat, he says what you can do opposite. He can just stack the whole game all the way, which if you want to do the hoop, right, in the millie, everyone is saying, oh, I'm going to grab the Lions, I'm going to grab the Seahawks. And Hoop just said, I'm going to load the boat, and then I'll grab some Josh Jacobs and 1 or 2 more pieces and call it a day. That's another great way to approach it because 3 or 4 is going to be on a team. So go to 5 and 6. Overstack the game if you'd like to, if you think it's that great. There's so many different ways that you can go about this, but I kind of think if you do go 3 or 4 guys in that game, then you really need to start to think about who am I plugging in my lineup? Maybe it's plugging in a Luka because that gives you a way to be different. You just have to think about that while you build your lineup. So that's definitely what I'm looking at. Let me actually talk about the plays now, obviously, in the game. Desmond Bane is popping up as one of the best plays on the slate. He had that huge 60-point game. Easily could dud here. He's been dudding to start the year. He hasn't been as great. So at 7K, I don't know. I think he's more fragile than people realize. Dylan Brooks is back. He's seen a pretty good usage rate. I think Dylan Brooks is a contrarian option in this game that I'm going to consider. Not dying to play Steven Adams. I see him popping up a bunch, and I'm trying my best to stay away from the Steven Adams chalk. So going to try and do that. Sabonis is an interesting spend up if you have the salary. I just don't know if I want to allocate my salary at the center position to someone like Sabonis. That's something I'm thinking through. I do think Fox is a good contrarian option off of SGA that I'm definitely considering. And then there should be a couple other guys. John Moran, I didn't talk about him yet. He's another one. Like, I don't know. I just think getting off of SGA, there's so many alternative pivots that you can go to where I'm going to consider it a little bit for sure. And then Tyus Jones is 4.6K. That's another interesting value in this game that you can go to. And Big T's boy, Santi Aldama. There's a lot of good plays that you can mix and match throughout this one. That's why we didn't like some of the earlier spots, right? And that's why, again, when you go into the optimizer and if you decide to limit this game to max of 2 players, your teams might look more uncomfortable. And as you kind of heard me talk about everything, the cash game player in me was like, oh, look at this great value. Look at this great value. That's why I'm going to use the optimizer and SaberSim and try to make it where it doesn't have me forcing all these plays, where I can build smarter lineups than the field and let them all play, 4 guys in this game while I have some other contrarian pivots that I'll go to.
Good breakdown there. My favorite spend up tournament play is Ja. Personally, 3 of his 4 games, 35% usage rate at least. Great matchup, high pace. I mean, it feels like a Ja game written all over it. And the ownership, of course, he's going to get some ownership, but he's not the chalk spend up is how I'm seeing it. So Hoop, a lot of great options in this game. Give me a couple of your favorite on both teams. Are you making any rules? What are you doing in this one?
Yeah, ton to love here for sure. Got a shout out a guy in the chat, John Muser says, I smashed the like button harder than 4s at 2 a.m. in college. It's a good comment. I like that one because 2 a.m. college days, those standards start coming down a little bit. You're getting close to closing time and you want to get something. The standards do drop. So that is a very
beers deep too.
Yeah. The drink's flowing, time's ticking. Standards come down.
Well, I'll say it quick. Before Hoop gives the breakdown, last time I'll ask, we need 350, 31 more likes. I'm not going to look at the YouTube till Hoop's done talking. Got to get it by the time that's done. So it should be very easy. We got like 700 watching, but they're going
to get it done for us. Phenomenal game to end the night. 236 total, Memphis favored by 2.5. So we're looking at a, close competitive game, high total, high pace. Guys that can just go off on both sides of the ball. A lot to love here. Now, everyone's going to like this game. So how do you get different? I think one way, you just start eliminating guys from the previous games. Like Mangone said, all right, you know what? I'm not going to play SGA or I'm going to get really underweight on SGA. And instead, I'm going to play Morant and De'Aaron Fox and Sabonis. I'm not going to play Kyrie and Kevin Durant. I'm going to get more Ja. I'm going to get more Fox. I'm going to get more Sabonis. I'm not playing, Steph Curry or Jimmy Butler. I'm coming here. So make the stands knowing that you're going to need that ownership to get overweight on these guys because I love the spot here. Ja, Bane, Aldama. I like Steven Adams. And then on the King side, you got Fox, Herter, who we talked about a little bit earlier. He can get hot. Murray's looked good. Sabonis, good price tag on DK at 8.2K. I want to be here as much as possible. Be a good feeling too. If some of those earlier games, not bust, but, underachieve a little bit, you're loaded up for this late one and just sit back and watch the scoring go off. That's the very fun to have that sort of setup. So not necessarily going to set any hard rules. Obviously you don't want to go like all in. That's why I'm still going to play really like guys like Luka still. I'm going to try to get as much Luka as I can. Dinwiddie I really like. Kyle Lowry makes it easy to play some of these guys, but just not going to force in some of these mediocre type plays like on the Clippers that we talked about. Like nothing really stands out, maybe just whack all those guys out. On the Warriors, nothing really stood out that I like there. Maybe I'll just take a lot of those guys out. I want as much of this last game as possible. Yeah, it's going to be popular, but that's fine. When you start making some bigger stands, you're able to get way more over the field on these guys than everyone else. It's a premier game, 236 total, like we said, close spread. It's what you want for fantasy.
Yeah, absolutely. If you are in first place before the last two games tip off, probably won't stay that way unless those first two go off. You're going to have to stay up all night. NBA or NFL game ends, turn on the NBA game, multiple screens going on. Only 4 games for the NBA streets, but I think it'll be a fun slate. No clear value. Think it'll be spread out a little bit. So I'm excited for it. If you do want to be a member, you do want to see the playbook, cash chart, core plays, Big T player pool, up to lock show, NFL Showdown show, all of the stuff we got over here. You do have to be a member. Head over to Run Pure Sports, check it out, get in the Discord. Again, we got college football on Saturdays, MMA, golf going on right now. So much going on. Very big prize pools. No better time to head over and join us. Let's see what we got for the likes. 351. Wow. 350. You guys got a job, got it done. Over 700 watching though. Let's get a push to 400 before we get out of here. Would be awesome to see, but 350, you got it. Let's get the 3 plays of the day, starting with Sweet Travis over there, the Sweet Travis play of the day. Who do you got for us, Mango?
Yeah, and before I go into that, Byron in the chat, he was saying before, like, don't punish us all, man. Like, I used to play football, and you know what? If one person made a mistake, we all had to run laps. So I don't want to hear it. So we all get penalized.
I do like that analogy. That is actually a really good analogy. That is true.
We're a team here at Run Pure, right?
Yeah.
You ship with us, or you watch us win, or however Tambo says it, right? If you're not getting the plays, we all don't do it together. Even the members, right?
Team
Let's
effort.
create the good mojo.
Yeah, it's a team effort out there.
Yep, team effort. So we got it home. It was close, but hey, the whistle happened and it was 351. So you guys got the job done. I'm going back to Llewellyn Tyler here. I just think his role is like so elite right now. He went from 6'9" to I believe 7'2". I think I'm on the draft.
He's 7'2", yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now he's 7-2. I just don't think people want to go back to the well on that, and they're going to feel super uncomfortable. They're going to play Desmond Bane instead. I'm perfectly fine with it. People might say, oh, it's jump shooter on a back-to-back. Dude, they blew him out. They didn't really play much in that second half. And the Miami Heat are very well conditioned. That's a team you don't have to worry about them on back-to-backs as much. So give me Tyler Hero as my play of the day.
I love it. And I'm going to go to myself with the SO play of the day because it's in the same game, same Milwaukee, the same city where these two grew up. You get a shooter in Tyler Hero. I'll take the other side and Jordan Poole. Shooter, going to be lower owned. I didn't want to go John Morant. I mean, I didn't want to go with another spend up. I wanted to go with a good basketball player in the mid range that I think is going to get overlooked a little bit. Jordan Poole can fill it up. Tyler Hero can fill it up. Let's see those two go back and forth and put on a shooting clinic for us, man, going. So Jordan Poole, the SO play of the day. The rich parents play of the day. Hoop, cap it off for us. Who do you got?
Sticking in the same game with my boys here. I'm going with Kyle Lowry. The price tag is nice, 5.8K. You're not sacrificing anything in your lineups to play him. He makes it easy to get to the spends as well. He's got the 40-point upside. I mean, I know it sounds gross, but his 140-point game, he is well on his way to another last night before the blowout. These guys are going to play big minutes in a competitive game, so give me Kyle Lowry as the rich parents play of the day.
Kyle Lowry, Tyler Hero, Jordan Poole, the three plays of the day. Fun show. We appreciate all of you hanging out with us. Great Thursday night if you're a sports fan, which I assume everyone in here is. Get on some NFL, watch some NBA, print some money. Let's see some RPS logos up top. Get in the Discord, answer all your questions. We'll see you in the live Up to Lock show for the or live chat for the Up to Lock show in NBA starting in 20 minutes. That's going to do it for us, though. We'll see you again tomorrow for Hoop, Mangone, Simon Behind the Sticks. I'm Titletown. Good luck, everybody.